Whenever you're listening to this. My name is Willie Lawson, formerly of the Willie Lawson Show on Blog Talk Radio. We You might have heard the announcement yesterday. I saw it on Facebook, or listened to the Spreaker show on the WillieLawsonShow.com website called Thank You, and where we have decided to shut down at least for a goodly amount of time. The Willie Lawson Show, it has been canceled. Um, Shows get canceled for all sorts of reasons. One of the reasons is non-interest, and the other reason is, like any show, you have the show is more expensive to produce than the revenue that it generates, and that was the case with the Willie Lawson Show, and some of the first two. I'm not so sure that there was great interest. Um, it seems to me that the phenomenon of internet radio has come and gone. Frankly, I think that we started doing the show way back in 2008, 6 years ago, and there was, and between then and probably 2012, there was great interest in internet radio. I think what's happened because in internet radio there were not the regular options. Spotify was not very big. The only internet music was really iTunes, but with other internet sources popping up and taking the lion's share of the listeners, and the lion's share of the possible sponsors. Internet radio, when we come to internet talk radio, got pushed to the back of the bus. In the very same way, I think that talk radio has been subjugated to, for the most part, AM radio. AM radio is the slum of terrestrial radio. It is the slum of terrestrial radio. It's on AM. Most people don't even listen to AM, don't even know that anything's on AM. Although Rush Limbaugh has 22 or 21 million listeners. AM radio is the desert of terrestrial radio, and with the advent of course, satellite radio and what Sirius XM has been able to do with their, especially political talk radio, things like Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker and the like, and getting a foothold there that could, that could shoot you to something else. Those opportunities, I think, came and went, and there were a few people. That I can remember, Kevin Jackson, who took advantage of that. And I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm envious. I wish the same thing had happened to me. Does that make me envious? Does that make me jealous? Whatever. Because I like Kevin. I think Kevin's done a great job with Black Sphere. And I remember when Kevin's show was on Blog Talk Radio, and we were all just sort of groping around in the dark as to what to do or how to do it. Obviously, Kevin Jackson's very, very talented and was able to turn that into a show on the Salem Broadcasting Network. The Willie Lawson Show was on Salem for 22 weeks, but suffered the same problem, only being on one day a week. A lot of people wonder what happened. We were only on Saturday afternoon, and we were on at a crappy time, from 5 to 6 Saturday afternoon. So it was, and so and they wouldn't allow us to sell other day parts. So we ended up being a lot more expensive to produce, and then any revenue that we could possibly gain. And so after 22 weeks, the show was canceled. I canceled it, and that was the end of that. And the Blog Talk Radio show, the same way. We had experienced a few months in the past 12 months where there weren't funds to have a show, and because there wasn't funds to have a show, we didn't have a show, and that's not the way you do it. You can't have a program and get people to advertise and support you if you're not having a show. So in order to make things simple, and I'm all about making things simple, what we decided to do was simply cancel the show. At least in the interim, in the meantime. It's funny, as stressful as that was last night, making that announcement. This morning, a new idea came. A new vision comes. God created a new vision pretty quickly. And the new vision is the New Perspective Media. New Perspective Media is exactly what I think people are actually looking for. They're looking for somebody who has a common sense, straight up approach to the things political that are going on in the country. Um, not something that necessarily lines up with this side or that side and keeps repeating the same thing over and over and over and ad nauseum. But somebody who has a fresh approach and is willing to and is willing to tell the truth. I think that we were willing to do that, and that we did that a lot with the Willie Lawson Show. And I think that in our new venture, New Perspective Media, we will continue to do just that. We will continue to do just that. State things in a way that are that everybody can understand. That's not stated in politicalese or TV or radioese, but how normal people talk. And you know what the idea is so yes, we voice what you've been. The idea is that we voice what you've been thinking all the time. That you're wondering, why isn't anybody else saying that? That's what we want to be able to do. We want to be able to offer a new perspective on some things that maybe no one is, not maybe, but surely no one in mainstream media is going to bring up. That's what's important here. That's what's important. And ask questions. Now, what we want to do is not go back to Blog Talk Radio necessarily and try that again with a new name. We want to up the game. You're watching a video of what we're planning on doing, and the idea is that we want to be able to do both. We want to be able to have an internet radio component. We want to be able to have a terrestrial or satellite radio component, and we want to be able to have a video component. And whether that video is just internet radio, any internet video like YouTube and Vimeo, over the videos format platforms are on the internet, or actually get on regular television. Get our foot in the door, and maybe with some public access, and or be able to tape components that get broadcast on the air in maybe other media markets. That's the deal, folks. We want to be able to come out and do things in a way that is effective. Because if it's not effective, you could be as clever as you want, but if you're not effective, it doesn't make any difference. You can be as clever and cool and smart as you want to be, but if you're not making a difference, then you're not doing anything. If you're not effective, if you're not reaching people, you're not effective. So you're not doing anything. And that's the truth. As painful as that reality is, that's the truth. So what we're trying to do, what we're launching here, is the new Perspective Media. A new perspective. Get a new perspective. Look at things differently. And it's important that a lot of people start looking at things differently. Being a black conservative, I'm obviously looking at things looking at things in my community differently than a number of people in my community. I'm just looking at them differently. I think I'm seeing. It's funny. They've had studies on eyewitnesses to crimes, and what they found out is that just because there were eyewitnesses there doesn't mean that should be the definitive source on whether a crime was committed or who was committed by it, because you could have 4 eyewitnesses viewing the very same thing and see 4 very different things, depending on where their concentration's at. So what I think is interesting is this. I think what is interesting is that I have people in my community who are seeing the very same things in my community that I'm seeing. They're seeing the poverty, they're seeing the lack, they're seeing the inability to access appropriate health care, they're the lack of jobs, they're seeing the crime, the the ineffectiveness of their schools, saying the very, very same thing. I don't think I found any arguments that the schools in the hood are better than they've ever been, because that's not the truth, and I don't think anybody would would say they are. The fact of the matter is that schools in the hood, schools in minority communities are worse than they've ever been. Worse than they've ever been. Not better than they've ever been, but worse than they've ever been. So we've got a lot of people who are looking at the very same situations, and you know what, and coming up with very different solutions because of their perspective. So what we're offering is a conservative perspective, a new conservative perspective. We have to say it in a new way. We have to show it in a new way. We have to get to people that we get to people and talk to people that we don't normally talk to. That's the deal. And some of us have been saying that for a while too. We have to get to people and talk to people in a way that we've not talked to them before. That we've not interfaced with them before. And that's what the New Perspective Media Project is all about. So if you want to help, us get started, right now I'm using the camera on my laptop, and it's working for this. But in order to get out in the community and do live video streaming, and really make a difference and really make an impact, obviously we can't run out there with our laptop above our heads. There's going to have to be a capital investment of equipment, and one of the first things that we want to purchase obviously is a camera. So if you will help us with that, I've got a couple of projects there on my Facebook page that if you want to help, by simply buying a T-shirt and getting your friends to buy T-shirts, that's really that's always been the most important part. It's not what you do necessarily, but what you can get someone else to do. If you can double yourself. You know what? If you could double if we could double the work, we can lessen the effort. You know what I'm saying? So if you can get a T-shirt, if you can buy a T-shirt, one of the New Perspective Media T-shirts, and then get a friend to. And I've always said this: if you like it, your friends will like it. And that goes with anything. That goes with sports teams. That goes with food. That goes with music. That goes with television shows and movies and music. If you like it, your friends will like it. So tell people. Share the link. Say, I'm getting one, and tell people, I'm getting one of these cool shirts. You need to get one too. And then encourage them to do what you did. Now, a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about multi-level marketing, like Amway. Amway is, you know what, there's people on the top of Amway who've made an awful lot of money. Awful lot of money. Why? Because they get people to do what they do, or what they did at one point. And that's the simplicity of it. Can I get somebody to do what I did? That's the simplicity. I mean, I've been approached, and I'm sure like you have, any number of times, to get involved in some multi-level marketing plan. And I have pretty much turned them all down, just like you. However, and this is not multi-level marketing by any stretch of the imagination, but I want you to be able to understand the general concept. What we need to get off the ground is for you to convince somebody to do what you did. So when you go to our booster page and buy a T-shirt, I want you to be able to convince somebody else to do the very same thing. That's all. I want you to be able to go there and convince them to do the very same thing. There you go. And we can get this thing off the ground and rolling. And then you can look back later when you can see the New Perspective Media Project soaring and making a difference, and being quoted by mainstream media. And you say, I remember. I have a T-shirt. I remember when Willie started that. I remember where that came from, and I know that guy. I've talked to him on the phone. I've exchanged emails and tweets with the guy. You'll know the heart of the New Perspective Media Project. Thank you so much. You can go to the WillieLawsonShow.com website or Spacebar Production website and get more information. Thank you so much. Have a great, great day. God bless.